Welcome to the Motivated Martial Arts Podcast. Your hosts, Jackson White and Gavin Cook, have been friends and Taekwondo training partners for over 40 years. This podcast will bring you a mixture of their life stories, martial arts, and business experiences to motivate you in life and throughout your martial arts journey. Adding in a mixture of inspiring interviews and some of the best traditional martial artists around today. So over to your hosts, the Motivated Martial Artists.
Welcome to the Motivated Martial Artists Podcast with me, Gavin Cook.
And me, Jackson White.
And this evening, we're super excited to have Mark Strange back on the show with us. We interviewed Mark roughly about this time last year after he'd just come off one of his last feature films, Redcon 1. And we're super excited to see what he's been doing in between. I know he's been working on EP-10 4, and he's going to be super excited to tell us all about that. But it's quite an interesting one because obviously we normally kick off the show by asking how you first got into martial arts, but with it being our first part 2, it's going to be a slightly different interview, I suppose, this time. So nice to welcome you on the show this evening, Mark.
Hey, great to be on the show, guys.
Good to have you back on, and I'll pass you over to Jackson to fire off the first question.
Yeah, so a bit of a momentous occasion for us. You are our first part 2 on the show, so yeah, appreciate you coming on again, Mark. Really do.
Anytime, mate.
So, obviously, my thunder is gone on this particular question because I normally get the privilege of asking the interviewees of how they got into martial arts. But instead, our audience know how you got into martial arts because I'm sure they'd have been super stoked to know that you're on and probably, if not already heard it, listen to the back episode. So just give us a little bit of an insight to what you've been doing in the last 12 months since we last spoke.
Wow. Well, I suppose really the big news is EP-10 4, really. And that was a game changer, really. It's the biggest film I've been part of. I've worked on quite a lot of studio films and independent films, but to work on the highest grossing martial arts franchise of all time, it's been quite an interesting year for me, and the actual film itself came from nowhere as well. It was quite funny, really, because when I knew they were filming EP-10 4, and it got to the point where they'd actually finished filming, and I thought, would have loved to have been involved with that. So anyway, like about a month later, I got the phone call from a good friend of mine and casting director and producer, Mike Leader, who contacted me from Hong Kong and said they were putting me forward. They're doing basically they need Bruce, Mr. Bruce Lee, played by Danny Chan, to have a bit of a challenge, a bigger fight. So yeah, I couldn't tell anyone, guys. It was yeah. At that point, it was bar EP-10 4. I've done loads of stuff this year. I worked with on Avengement with Scott Adkins, where I have a really good old scrap with him in the pub. So the pub scene. So yeah, it's just been a crazy year, guys.
Okay, so for some of our viewers that may not know the EP-10 franchise, I'd be surprised if they didn't. Can you just give us a bit of an insight to what it is then, please, Matt?
The EP-10 franchise, obviously, the one that I'm in is number 4. The very first one, the star of EP-10 is Donnie Yen, which he's an incredible martial artist. He's done so many movies. But say EP-10 is one of his most famous roles, and obviously they've gone on to do 4 of them, which is 4. I don't really want to kind of do any spoilers or anything, but 4 is kind of it's just epic, mate. It's really, all of them are epic. It's basically follows EP-10 is obviously one of the greatest Wing Chun practitioners in history, and who's very famous for teaching in reality Bruce Lee. and it's just basically follows his story and the whole franchise, and it's an incredible martial arts epic.
How much of the movies is based on real life type stuff then, Mark? And obviously I know it's quite difficult to gauge, but I'm presuming there's quite a lot of real things in the movies that actually happen.
Yeah, I think there are. They tend to kind of they tend to follow kind of what happened in history. But it's a movie, so obviously there's probably stuff in there as well that actually didn't happen. Like number 3, obviously, Ip Man didn't fight Mike Tyson. In reality, that wouldn't have been.
No, you're joking me. Oh, that's my favourite bit.
Mike Tyson's obviously in the 3rd one, so obviously there are certain things, obviously, that it's just really, to heighten the action and excitement for the movie, really. So, but yeah, it's, like, for example, I thought they did a very good job. You guys seen Ip Man 4 yet?
So I'll be honest, I've took a sneaky peek. I've not watched it all, if I'm totally honest.
Well, I think what they do really well in the 4th one is obviously Bruce Lee's character comes out a little bit more into number 4, and it's all about Ip Man going to San Francisco, where Bruce Lee invites him over. And you've probably seen the original footage of Bruce Long Beach doing his inch punch. All the stock footage of that.
Yeah.
Basically,
that's when he fought Joe Louis, wasn't it? As well, I think it was the same.
That's correct. Yeah, they remock up that footage, and they've done such a good job of it. And it's almost like frame for frame the same as the original footage. It's so good. But obviously, it was an absolute honor to be in that franchise, because number 1, it was the 2nd movie I've done with Scott Adkins. Scott Adkins plays like a drill sergeant, the main villain in Ip Man 4. Obviously, he fights Donnie Yen, and I fight Bruce Lee. So yeah, it's been an incredible journey, guys, and I've got so many stories I can talk to you about regarding obviously working on Ip Man 4 was just it was just insane.
Okay,
Jack,
what was the other best scene that you shot then? What was the most fun scene, would you say?
Well, to be honest, I'm only in the movie for one scene, so that.
Yeah. Of course, yeah.
Was that when you got your arse handed to you by Bruce Lee then?
Basically, yeah. To be honest, the fight is what's so cool about this fight, and what everyone's raving about it. It's an absolute tribute to Bruce Lee. The choreographers let's just say I was working with the best fight choreographer on the planet, Yen Wu Ping, who did The Matrix, he did Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, he did the Kill Bill franchise as well, all the way back to the early movies like Drunken Master. So I got the opportunity to be choreographed by him, and he's the master. Who's fantastic to work with, and he had his great team of around him, obviously. So what they did with the fight, they took homages of old Bruce's films and threw it all into one sequence. It was just insane when I was doing, because I was the thing is with Hong Kong. You have to learn the choreography on the spot. It's so pressured and so hard work. I can't explain how hard work it is. For example, the first thing they had me doing, they had me kicking this street lamp, and I flew over. I shot in Hong Kong in a studio, which was doubling for San Francisco. So they had like a set built of a back alley, and that whole scene was done in Hong Kong in a studio. And it's seamless when you see it. It's like I'm in San Francisco fighting Bruce Lee. It's so well done. But the actual choreography, I had to kick this street lamp with a jumping front kick. and it was so high, and they were saying, "Oh, do you want us to rig you up with wires?" And I said, "Just drop it a little bit, and I think I can get that." And so anyway, they dropped the lamp a fraction, and the first, seriously, guys, I did the kick on the first one, yeah, and tore my hamstring straight away. On a really bad tear as well, and I just gritted my teeth. The thing is, that was on the first day. I had 4 days, 4 super long days, and knew from that point on it's going to be hard work, and it was. Every day I had a different injury, and all the injuries, no time to recover at all, because you're on a schedule to finish this sequence. You know, you've got all your crew there, you got everyone there, you got the director there, you've just got to suck it up and carry on. And that's the thing with Hong Kong films. You know, you've got to put in that extra mile, and it definitely brings the best character out of you as well. But no, going back to the actual choreography, guys, there was elements of Way of the Dragon in there, Enter the Dragon, you know, the bit where I kicked the lamp, that was in Way of the Dragon. And, you know, obviously there's nunchucks in my fight. It's literally got every single Bruce Lee trait in that fight. He does the massive big step through sidekick on me. He hits me with the 1-inch punch.
Reverse turning kick. How does a reverse turning kick in there?
Yeah, it does everything what Bruce did, and that's what's it's made the fight iconic. And the amount of followers I've got from just doing that one scene is phenomenal. It's Bruce Lee's only fight in the film. It's his main challenge, and I tend to I just turn up and challenge him basically for a fight down a back alley. and the actual fight's nearly 4 minutes long. That's how epic the fight is.
Wow.
It's,
I suppose in acting terms, and how many days went into that 4-minute fight sequence?
I think it was 4 14-hour days, and sometimes overtime as well. And you know, I utilised, they had me on, there was some of the stunts were done on wires as well, because Yen Wu Ping's very famous for his wire work. And at one point they had me rigged up to 2 wires, which, you know, it's painful, guys. As soon as you have to make sure that your old meat and 2 veggies tucked in tight, and because they've got the harness that goes between your legs, and if you get that wrong, you're in serious pain. And so basically, they had a wire rig to lift me up. They had a wire on my back. So basically, the stunt was I basically do a jumping sidekick at him. So one wire team hoisted me up to get my height, and another wire team hoisted Danny Chan up, who played Bruce Lee, and then he kicks me, and then another wire team through the wall. This is how complicated it is. Yeah, pulls us flying, slamming into a brick wall. Just obviously I just had a back pad on, and then I'm landing solid on the floor. I must have done that about 10 times. It's so painful. I can't explain how painful it is. You know, making movies is supposed to be pretend, but trust me, it's, you know, in Hong Kong, you have to go the extra mile. You know, you just, for me, waking up every day working on Ip Man, I thought, Jesus, I'm working on the biggest martial arts movie out there. That's what got me out of bed every morning, and that's what got me there and did my best, you know. So, and it's that's the thing, really, and a whole lot of spray of freeze spray and
freeze spray and
support.
Deep heat, yeah.
How much preparation did you have for it, Mark? So to get yourself physically fit and prepared.
Well, it was pretty good, really, because the film I did before that was Avengement, and I let myself go a little out of shape for that, because I was playing a doorman, and I wanted to look a bit bulkier and bigger. So I put some weight on purposely, so I looked a little bit sort of like bigger and more menacing in a sense. So when I got the call on Ip Man, I started ripping up and started cutting my body fat back, because I thought, oh my God, I'm going to be fighting Bruce Lee. So, you know, I want to look my best, you know.
There's an incentive.
There's
an incentive if there's ever been one, right? Fighting Bruce Lee.
Say that again.
That's one incentive if there's ever been one, isn't it? You get the
call
just to let you know you're going to be fighting Bruce Lee.
Exactly. From a you know, I don't go too far out of shape, but from a bulky kind of doorman to fighting Bruce Lee, that was a contrast. And I had, you know, I started training again and losing body fat straight after Avengement. And what an honour, obviously, and what a great experience working with Scott Adkins and Jesse Johnson as well on Avengement. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's on Netflix, and it's a great movie. You know, I really loved the process of working on it, and it was an amazing team on that one. But yeah, getting into shape for it, man. I literally, I just literally did lots of cardio. You know, cut my body fat, dieted down, and literally a lot of stretching, a lot of martial arts training, really. So, because I was thinking, I've got to, because as you guys know, I'm a Chinese martial artist. I do kung fu, I do Chinese kickboxing. All of a sudden, I get a phone call and I'm playing a karate guy. A karate master. So then I had to not only get in shape, I had to study karate, so I looked the part as well. So, and a lot of that was kind of taking on, you know, I've been around karate a lot, and so it was quite easy for me to look like a karate kind of guy. I suppose that's the whole idea of acting. You know, you're taking on different personas.
Roles, different personas, yeah, of course.
Yeah, exactly. But no,
just going back to your training. Sorry, Mark. Just going back to your training, because I know some of the audience.
Sure.
We have a lot of people on there that are competitive fighters. Can you just give us a bit of an insight into your weekly routine in terms of diet, training, the sort of things that you do? I know you mentioned running, but just a little bit more detail, because I really want to try and draw what the comparison is for being physically fit for a fighting role in the movies to what a competitive fighter and how the sort of training they undertake.
Yeah, and the lack of stretching on your hamstring.
God! Well,
which might have come in handy.
Yeah, well that yeah, for sure, definitely. You obviously you know I'm flexible and I can kick and stuff, and I think, to be honest, that was just, you know, why my hamstring tore on that first kick is because I didn't really do any warming up. I just did it. So to be honest, it was my own fault. You know, on that particular one, you know, because I'm 46 now, guys, and I feel like I can still kick like I was 20.
Yeah, I know.
So sometimes
we all know that feeling.
A little bit.
Yeah, we all know that feeling now. But the thing is, I suppose it's a bit like those competition days, isn't it? You know, when you're sitting around the ring waiting for your turn to fight, and you're not warmed up properly, and all of a sudden, you know, they call your name and you've got to compete, and you're not warmed up properly, and it's so easy to get tears because you're going in full throttle.
Yeah,
the adrenaline's
totally. And the problem is with filming as well. You know, it's stop and start for 14 hours. Because they're doing resetups with the cameras, they're working things out, you're cooling down, and then next minute you're doing it 100 miles an hour again. So it's constantly like that through the day. So it's so easy to pick. You know, I did my back in working on that. I went over on my ankle. My ankle's like a balloon. You know, and obviously because of the nature of it as well. Danny Chan was amazing to work with, and he was the best Bruce Lee I've ever seen. I actually thought I was fighting Bruce Lee. His character, you know, he had the character to a T. His expressions, his sound, his movement. it was surreal, you know. So, but we were both game, but I'm going off topic here. You asked me about my training, didn't you?
It's all right, it's all relevant. It's all relevant.
Yeah, no, that's cool, man. So yeah, so for me, when I used to compete and fight and do forms training and stuff, form competition and stuff, it was mainly functional, practical training, like running and kind of skipping and, you know, bag training, pad work, sparring. You know, depending on what I was working for back in the day. I think the only thing really what's changed now with the way I train for films, you know, I'm still doing forms and, you know, equivalent Japanese as katas. I'm still doing weapons. So that becomes, in a sense, very much cardio and in a sense, and good for the, obviously, movement and your balance. And then I'm kind of, obviously, I'm a lot bigger these days. I've put muscle on. So I'm kind of, you know, I'm doing literally, I'm working like a bodybuilder in a sense, rather than a professional athlete, in the sense that that's, you know, fighting now, because fighting is different to looking good on the screen, in a sense, because remember, it's all pretend. So now I tend to do like 2 body parts a day on the weight training. Sometimes I'll split that up. I'll always try and do 45 minutes of cardio every day. And obviously, depending on what I'm working, if it's a martial arts role, I'll put more effort into my kicking and what I need particular for that role. So I'm pretty much catering what I'm doing, really. You know, that's you know, because it's in my blood. I've done it since I was 10 years old. So it's, you know, I just try to sort of like do as much as I can now. Flexibility is a tough one, because you know, I've always been I've had that hyper flexibility where I can go past the splits, and but maintaining that now is a lot difficult. I can still do the splits, but not as easy as it was when I was 20, even 30, because so much scar tissue has built up on my legs from injuries and all sorts of stuff. And, you know, it's you've just got to stay on top of it, really. You know, stretching, I always try and stretch, do a little bit of stretching every day. I don't really overdo it unless I need to focus on something specific. But diet, I'd say.
How's your diet changed as you've got older? Because you know, certainly from my own experience as a fighter, you know, back in the 20s, early 30s, I could eat and drink pretty much what I wanted, and you know, it didn't affect me. It wasn't until I started hitting my late 30s where, one, I started educating myself more on diet, and 2, actually, I started feeling the effects of not having a correct diet in my performances. Has that been the same for yourself?
Totally, yeah. When I was a young whippersnapper, I used to eat. I seemed to be able to eat what I wanted and never put weight on, and it's like I had the ultimate fast metabolism. I'd burn it off, and you know,
I used to dream of putting weight on.
Yeah, that's it.
When I was a young man.
Exactly, yeah, putting size on, and but now it's really funny. My body is so adapted. I seem to be able, and I think it's purely because it's been more the discipline to films, and that's what's made my diet better now than what it used to be, because so I can seem to be able to put weight on really easy now, but then I can take the weight off just as easy, which is great as an actor, because if someone wants you big and fat, I can do that and still take the weight off afterwards. Yeah. So you know, so I can change myself quite easily. You know, which is a good thing in this industry. But
especially as you get older as well, though, Mark. Obviously, it becomes more difficult, doesn't it? It becomes more difficult to shed fat, and it becomes more difficult to gain, I suppose, in such a sort of rapid time.
Yeah, well, I think it definitely gets harder when you get older. But I think what needs to change is the discipline. I think a lot of people dream of losing weight, but they don't have the discipline to do it, and they don't have the mindset to do it. Yeah, and that's where a lot of people fail when it comes to whatever the goal is, whether it be losing a few pounds to go on holiday, or you need to make weight as a fighter, or whatever they're doing, whether the bodybuilder is trying to look the best for a show or something. For me, I always try my best to keep a base shape, and then whenever I'm needed to look my best, I'm not far off, if you know what I mean, in the sense. So it's just about maintaining it, and to maintain it, you have to have that discipline.
No, most definitely.
I can't go like 2 or 3 weeks of just smashing pizzas or something, and eating kebabs and all that type of stuff.
Weeks to get rid of it, then, doesn't it? 3 weeks on, 9 weeks off.
Exactly, mate. What I tend to do, I keep to that level, and I'm quite fortunate. I have a meal prep company that sponsor us, so they weigh my food and everything. So I have, I normally have about 6 meals a day, but they're only very small amounts. Mm-hmm. And they're all low carb as well, in the sense of very little carbs. The carbohydrates tend to be either broccoli, asparagus, sweet potato, or rice, and they're very, very small amounts. And I find what works good with me with that, the little and often, it gives you plenty of energy still, but it can, it's good for the old diet, and it's, you're not packing the pounds on, if you know what I mean. Definitely if you're having a physical training day.
Is that a brand, a household brand, Mark? Or can you give them a shout out on here?
Well, there's two. So there's actually, sorry, there's Real Foods do my kind of meal prep, and my long-term sponsor, Vimax Nutrition, they help me get into certain shapes for certain roles that I do, and they basically look after the supplement side of things, from vitamins to protein to all sorts of kind of wonderful stuff to kind of get me as tight as I can, or to put some size on or whatever. So yeah, that's Vimax have been there for 10 years, probably plus for me. So they've been there all the way. So
sure. Was that Real Foods, wasn't it? Real Foods, is that right? I'm just writing that down.
Real Food, yeah, that's right, yeah.
So do they deliver to your house? Because they come like pre-packed and everything ready.
They do, yeah. Simple as it's, and then there's no hassle of making anything. So it's really, really good. They're based out of a gym that sponsors me as well. My home, my second home, which is my gym, is basically a facility called Smart Fit Preston. It's probably one of the best gyms I've ever seen. It's got everything, and the equipment's great. The coaches are good there. It's good atmosphere. Always get a gym with a good atmosphere.
I've seen some videos of you in there, actually, Mark. I've seen some videos of you in there doing your tricking and all your kicks and stuff like that. So
it's an amazing place, man. It's so
massive,
cool,
isn't it? It's huge.
Yeah, but in lockdown, man, I tell you what, I've probably got in better shape, purely because all I've been doing in lockdown, I've been lifting weights with my own basic weights. I've been doing body resistance exercises, stretching, forms, kicking. I've just been hitting all that, and obviously being very proactive with obviously my career stuff as well. So it's all I've been able to do is they've been stirring in me at my face for like 8 to 10 weeks, like weights and various basic equipment that I've had, so it's really funny, because I saw a lot of stuff saying, lockdown, everyone's going to get back to the gym, but the thing is, mate, you can train anywhere.
The thing
right,
is,
yeah,
never
I
stop.
totally agree.
the thing is, you have to make a choice, don't you? You have to make a choice, Mark. And like I said, I was talking about it earlier on. I mean, a lot of people have chose to whinge and moan about the situation, and some people have stepped up and said, you know what, I'm going to make the best of a bad situation. I'm going to use it to my advantage. I'm going to either educate myself, or I'm going to get fit, or I'm going to do something that's, you know what I mean? And we all have choices. We all have the same choices. Some people just choose to go down the victim route, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's where that discipline comes in. You know, I learned the discipline from a young age, from 10 years old, starting martial arts. All comes back to martial arts.
I agree.
That's what gave me the discipline, the heart, everything to do what I'm doing now in this industry. I've moved it over to the film industry. So you know, you can, as long as you're disciplined and you've got dedication, you've got focus, you've got ambitions, dreams, that's the kind of stuff you need to focus on, you know, not this bad news, you know, not just, you know, concentrate on yourself. That's my advice to anyone, and follow them dreams. That's all you've got to do that's in my book anyway.
So what do you picture in your mind then, Mark, when you're going through those, you've had those hard training days and you've been training and you feel a bit burnt out, and all of a sudden you think, you know what, I just need a pizza. I need a pizza, or I need a McDonald's, or what do you tell yourself to keep yourself on track? Because presumably you have quite a bit of period where, like you said earlier on, where you're in between roles, if you like, and you don't really know what role's going to come up next. So there's got to be a time where you think, you know, maybe that motivation dips a little bit, and you're quite tempted to go down the other route. What do you sort of tell yourself?
Well, I tell my mind. Yeah, I tell my mind, every day is a step forward. Yeah. All right. If I was training for something and I have just eat what I want for like a day or two or whatever, I go 3 steps back.
Yeah.
So rather than moving forward consistently to my goal or to whatever I'm striving to achieve, every time I do something like that, I'm going back 3 steps. So with that in my mind, I don't want to be going back 3 steps. I want to be constantly moving forward, and that's what keeps me strong when I'm working. But trust me, man, I'm like everyone else. You've got I love a pizza. I love as long as you don't go too crazy. You know.
Mind you, saying that, have you seen Dwayne Johnson's cheat days? You ever seen what he has on his cheat days?
Yeah, he has about 20 pancakes, doesn't he?
It's absolutely mental. He literally has like about 15 pizzas, pancakes, ice cream, everything. He hams it all down.
Exactly. You've got to. You'll go insane if you don't eat foods what you want. Sometimes when your body is craving for it, it's best to eat it. Sometimes when I eat it, I'm like, I so enjoy it, but then afterwards, oh my God, I hate it. Yeah, so
you hate yourself, don't you? You hate yourself for doing it. It's that time when you walk past a fish and chip shop and you know you should be having a salad, and you walk past and go, oh, go on.
Exactly.
I'm going to treat myself.
You kind of buckle.
And then you think to yourself, what have I just done? What have I just done to myself?
Yeah, of course, man. The thing is with it, I've always, back in the day, I always ate what I wanted, but now I have to be really cautious about what I eat because, again, like I said earlier, I can put weight on really easy if I want. So, and to be honest, when I put weight on, I always feel a bit sluggish and a bit lethargic. But when I eat good and stay away from all the breads and the stodge, and I just feel like I have more energy. Like I have a problem with bread anyway. I've got a gluten problem, so if I eat a lot of bread, it bloats my stomach. So that's one of the reasons why I don't eat bread anymore, or very little bread.
That's good on a cold winter's night in England, but that's no good for the 6-pack on the beach, is it?
Exactly, mate. Yeah, this is it. Yeah. So, but no, going back to martial arts again, it's for anyone who's thinking of taking up martial arts or they're in the career of doing martial arts at the moment. It's just one big road that you just walk. I mean, there's so much you can learn. It's a lifetime of learning, as you guys know.
Yeah, and I think that inner strength that you learn in the martial arts, certainly in a young age, you carry it through to you can carry it through if you choose to, into sort of every area of your life, can't you? It's a transferable skill that stays with you, and I know that's something that I certainly try and hammer into my students. It's not just
definitely
a punching thing; it's a skill, it's a mental skill. That
definitely
that will help you throughout your whole life, depending.
It crosses over to pretty much everything. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. So going forward then, Mark, what's next for action hero Mark Strange?
Wow. Well, obviously we're coming out of lockdown, so let's see. Unfortunately, this distance thing is still around. This 2 meter distance, or it might be getting changed soon. I don't know, but it's really it's really hit everyone, this whole scenario. And for films, obviously, like most businesses, everything stopped. Everything stopped, and it's slowly getting back to normal now. But so obviously, I'm going to see where Ip-Man 4 takes me, and riding off the back of that. I'm going to be doing, depending on, again, the lockdown rules and everything, I have a lead role script that's written for me, which is, I'm so excited about. It's so dark. It's like the darkest film I've ever seen. So it's kind of like, it's a martial arts kind of hitman style film. Like before, I couldn't really talk about Ip Man. I can't really talk about this next one too much at this moment because it's been processed. But no, obviously I'm going to be carrying on with martial arts training as per normal. It's my life. And just see where this crazy journey takes me.
What do you so going forward into the future then, Mark, what sort of, obviously I know you'd like to do martial arts until the day you drop, if you like the rest of us, but do you have sort of any sort of contingency plans if you're to get injured, or, is there like maybe an age that you're sort of saying, well, I want to keep going until I'm 60 and then I'm going to maybe look at doing something else? Have you ever thought about that?
Not really, no. I'm kind of
plan A all the way.
It's all the way, mate. I had a vision when I first started. It was the movies that got me into starting martial arts when I was 10 years old. Yeah, I got as far as I could in martial arts. I had my gym, as we maybe spoke about last time, for 17 years. I run that and did the whole competing thing and the coaching and studying all over the place, learning as much as I could. But I kind of went round circle. It was the movies I drew. It's always the movies from when I first started. That's what my vision was for the future, and now I'm doing it. So it's kind of, and I love it, mate. If you love something, you're never going to give it up. So martial arts and working in film is is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. It's all I know and it's all I love. So, bar my beautiful lady, by the way.
It's funny, we had Mike Lambert on the show a couple of months ago. Do you know Mike?
Oh, I've not seen Mike in a long time. I worked with Mike. Last time I saw him was working on Batman Begins.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was Batman Begins.
Yeah, no, it was. He was definitely in that. I know he sent us some pictures over, didn't he, of that? And it was the other guy we interviewed, Ashley Beck, wasn't it? Ashley Beck.
Yeah. Oh, Ashley Beck. Yeah, and Ashley Beck was around when I was doing tournaments. So that's. Oh man, how long ago is that?
Yeah, Musical Patterns.
So long. Yeah.
Your Musical Patterns, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah. He was a young whippersnapper when I was a little bit older than him. How old's Ashley back now?
I think about 35, maybe. I think it's 10 years
Yeah,
younger than us.
yeah. I'm 10 years, probably. Yeah, I'm 10 years older. So, but yeah, no, that brings some names, bring back memories.
But I mean, like I said, but when we spoke to them, it's definitely a bug that it's very difficult to throw. I think, obviously, it's like martial arts. When you get into martial arts and you start loving it, it's a bug that you can never throw. And it sounds to me like, once you've got in a movie or once you've been part of that scene, it's something that you just fall in love with it instantly, and you never want to be apart from it, really.
No, exactly. And the thing is, as I say, going back when I was a kid, I always loved action movies. I always loved martial arts movies, and Sylvester Stallone was a big draw for me when I was a kid. Growing up watching his movies and stuff, and the beauty of kind of martial arts is for me, it's just given me that drive to pursue what I love doing. And to the point where it's more of a change as well. I can change myself by having that discipline as well, and that's what it's taught me, really. And obviously the humble side and the respect side. When I go in and work on a movie, like for example when I worked on Ip-Man 4, you're there to do a good job, but you're there, you learn as well. You're learning on the spot constantly. It's just like martial arts, so you're constantly learning new things. So, and I love the whole journey, mate. And and again, from a kid, I've just followed my dreams, and that's it. And I'm a big fan of that word. Yeah,
there's
a lot of people
don't do. They get sidetracked, don't they, in life? You're right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
totally. Yeah, and
okay then, Mark. We're almost ready to wrap up. Sorry, mate.
Yeah.
We're almost ready to wrap up. So on volume 1, our first 50 podcast, we always ask the question: what would you tell, or what advice would you give to a younger self? Volume 2, we're going to do something slightly different. So we really just want to know, who would you say the most inspirational person in your life has been?
Ooh, for career-wise.
Just in anything, the one person that said or gave you that one piece of inspirational advice that you've carried throughout your life.
Wow, I've had loads of great mentors and loads of that people that I've known and who have coached us and who I've trained with. There's so many, but I'm gonna go for someone I've not even. Well, I've seen him up close, but I've not even met him, and I'm hoping I will at some point, and that's Sylvester Stallone. I'm only saying that because, number one, this is a guy that had nothing, and he just had his belief and his dream to do what he wanted to do, and he went out there and he got turned down so much, and then someone gave him a chance, and look what he's achieved. And I love people that go after the dreams and achieve things, and that's what I do. So and that inspires me. That keeps me. Yeah, it keeps me focused. So as a little kid, watching Rocky, watching all the kind of action movies like Rambo and stuff that he did, and he's mastered everything. He's a director, he's a producer, he's an actor, he does entertaining like films, and he's an athlete as well. He's I love that. I love kind of inspiration. And, let's just say he's probably inspired half the world with Rocky, hasn't he? So everybody knows Rocky.
Yeah.
And
I think
when
the
that
thing
tune comes on.
So I think the thing with Sylvester Stallone as well, there's a lesson to never give up, because, as you said before, he at one point he was living homeless with his dog, wasn't he? And I think
he sold his dog and bought it back once he met Rocky. Yeah, exactly.
That's it,
That to me is dream. He was a dream chaser, and he achieved his dream. And then he probably never ever thought he'd get to where he is now, you know. And that's a lot of people. A lot of people just don't follow what they want to do. But they're happy they're not happy. They'll get sidetracked. They won't follow what they want to do. Like even with martial artists, they'll get to the black belt, some people, and just quit, you know. And it's not about quitting. It's martial arts is for life, and whatever you love is for life. Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, Matt. How big a place would you say that fear plays into that? I know what you just said about people not following the dreams. I put a lot of that down that people are just too scared, that they get paralyzed by fear, and they're worried to take that risk, I think.
Yeah, it is, you know, it is taking that risk, and the thing is with it, you know, my dad always told me, yeah, keep chucking the mud at the wall, it'll stick eventually. Yeah, that's what he told me from being a kid. So, and that I've always done, you know, and it's taken a long time for me to get to getting opportunities like the last film I've done. I've grafted, I've worked hard, I've done everything right, everything, you know, you do learn from certain mistakes. And I think that's an important factor, that people have got to learn from certain mistakes that they might make. And yeah, you just got to stick at it. That's it. And it is hard. It's one of the any entertainment industry. It's one of the hardest industries to break and get into. And you know, it does take a lot of heart and a lot of kind of rejection and all that type of stuff. But you know, if you really, really, really want to do it, you'll do it. So that's my motto.
Perfect, Mark. And I think you're a shining example of that. And you know, I think it's easy for people to see. I
appreciate that.
You know,
thank you.
You've jumped on that. You know, you've got to that Ip Man film, and you're breaking through with your own roles and some really good supporting roles. And I think, you know, people don't actually see the hard work, the dedication, and the relentless pursuit of excellence that you put in behind the scenes, do they?
No, seriously, man. If people saw that, it would put them off. Yeah, making a film is just so hard. Definitely if you do independent ones, because you know it's there's so many moving cogs in the actual production, and people don't realise that sometimes, like Redcon 1 took 6 years to get off the ground. Yeah. And then when we got it off the ground, it was then physically another year to film it. To go into the post-production of editing it, and it's such a long journey, and then you've got to get it out to market and release it. So you're stuck with it for another year. So it's kind of you know, the independent route is really tough. You know, like Ip Man was tough in a different way. It was amazing. It got well looked after. Everyone was amazing, but it was tough because it, you know, physically tough on the spot and mentally having to take it in, and you had the pressure of some of the biggest coordinators on the planet, kind of working with them. So you're constantly under pressure and work. You know, you want to do your best in a sense, and better than your best, and which heightens you. You know, but when you're doing that, it's mega tough on the body, you know.
Yeah, but I'm sure you wouldn't have it any other way, would you?
No, definitely not, man. It's worth all them aches and pains. It's worth every moment. I hope you get to see the film soon, man.
I'm gonna go and get it now. Yeah, I'm gonna go and get it and put it on now.
I know, and just to let you know, it's on Sky. I think it's on Sky Movies or
I've got that.
One of the movie channels on Sky. Yeah, it'll be on Netflix eventually. All the other three are on there. So,
brilliant. Mark, it's been an absolute pleasure having you back on the show, my friend. Thank you very much for taking the time out again.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. It's been brilliant. It's been great.
Yeah, anytime,
great
guys.
to hear what you've been up
great
to.
To speak.
I'm glad you.
Say that again.
Glad you're still smashing it, which is the main thing.
Always, man.
You'll never lose that determination, will you?
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Don't forget to like our Facebook page and our Facebook group, The Motivated Martial Artist Podcast.
Or check us out on Instagram, The Motivated Martial Artists,
where you'll see much more content and early insight into some of the interviews and some of the guests and some of the conversations around the things that we're discussing. Hope to see you all next week.
Bye for now.
Bye.